In this video, we're going to solve quiz 3. That's the first question. We have an electric circuit and it's required to find the equation for node V1. And that's V1. We'll try to solve it. Obviously, when you need to apply node equation, you should assume the direction of the current. One easy thing, you will just assume all current they are in the node and you will say the sum of the current is equal to 0. Okay, how can you find the current in 30 ohm? You will say the voltage from this end to V1 end. The voltage at this node is equal to any voltage because it's connected to the voltage source to any voltage. So this current will be 20 minus V1 divided by the resistance 30 ohm plus the current from V2 to V1 will be V2 minus V1 divided by the resistance, which is equal to 10 ohm, plus the current going from the ground, which is 0, minus V1 divided by the resistance 20 ohm. That will be equal 0. Why equal 0? Because we don't have any current source. So that will be the equation. If you rewrite the equation in a nicer form, you'll say 20 minus V1 over 30 plus V2 minus V1 divided by 10 minus V1 divided by 20 is equal 0. And that's your solution. Then you try to find the closest answer. If you cannot find a closed answer, you may rearrange the terms to match. So we'll go there. The first term, it's similar, but you have negative sign, so it's not the right one. Second one, the first term the same, the second term is exactly the same, but the third term is positive, this is negative. Let's go over the third one, 20 minus V1 over 3, that's right, first term, the second term is right. The third term is, oh no, it's wrong, because when it is 10, this is 20. Let's find the last one. The first term is right, the second, the third, so that will be the answer. This one will be the right answer. Okay, let's go to the second question. Second question here, where obviously it's related to mesh equation. It's required to find the mesh equation for mesh number 2, this one. How can you find the equation for any mesh? You know the matrix form that you will do for the second one. You will start, if you remember the matrix, R21, R22, R23, R24, because we have 4, multiplied by I1, I2, I3, I4 should be equal to V1, V2, V3, V4. Of course, when you multiply R times I, you get the V2, so you don't have to write all the things. So actually it's equal to one element only, which is V2. Now, R21 is the common or mutual resistance between 2 and 1. That's 2, that's 1, is 6 ohm. Don't forget, it's written in negative. R22, the sum of the resistance in mesh 2, 6 plus 4 is 10, plus 5 is 15. R23, it's the mutual resistance between mesh 2 and mesh 3, which is equal to 5 ohm minus 5. Any mutual resistance is a negative value. R24, it's between 2 and 4, which is 4, will be minus 4. So what about the voltage? Any voltage source here? Yes, that's 3 voltage, and the current should coming out of the positive, which in the opposite direction to the mesh current I2, so it will be equal to negative 3. So when you write the equation, it will be minus 6 times I1 plus 15 times I2 minus 5 times I3 minus 4 times I4 equal minus 3. So that will be the equation. Let's just check each answer. Excuse me. Minus 6I1, that's the first one, plus 15I2 minus RI I3. No, that should be -5. So it's not this one. Let's go this one. Okay, the second one, -5 I3. -4 I3 is equal 3. No, it's wrong. It should be -3 here. The last one, no, you cannot take -15 I1. Yeah, start. So surely this is the last one. -6 plus 15 I2 -5 I3 okay, this is the right one. So that will be the answer. Let's go to number 3. The question is R1 is equal 1 ohm and R2 is equal 1 ohm, R3 is equal 1 ohm, and we need to find the current I1. Okay, and I2 is giving also, that was missing. I2 is equal to 1 amp. In any way, if even the values are not given and we need to find the equation for I1, how can you find the equation for I1? All right, you will say that the current in R1 is I1 because I1 is going in this direction, so it's only I1. So I1 is going in this direction, so it will make a positive and negative voltage drop in this direction. If we assume that the current in going in this direction will have a positive and negative, but what is the current in R3? The current in R3, the current will be equal to going down. That's with I1. I1 is going in this direction and I2 in the opposite direction. So I will be equal I1 minus I2. That will be the current in the R3. Now let's write the equation. The equation for mesh 1 will be V1 and the positive connector supposed to be minus the resistance R1 times I1, and then you have positive connector positive will be minus R3, and the current I will be equal I1 minus I2, and this is positive again, connector positive will be minus V2 equals 0. So whoever write the equation in this form, that's right. After substituting by R1 and R3 is equal to 1 ohm as given here, so you have V1 minus I1 minus R3 is equal 1, so be I1 minus I2 minus V2 is equal to 0. If we simplify, you have V1 minus I1 minus I1 plus I2, negative times negative positive, minus V2 is equal to 0. So V1 minus 2I1 plus I2 minus V2 is equal to 0. The question is to find I1. So if you move 2I1 to the other direction, so you have 2I1 is equal V1 minus V2 plus I2. And to find I1, you say I1 is equal V1 minus V2 plus I2 divided by 2. So that's the right answer. If we give values, if it was given, if V1 is equal 4 voltage and V2 let's say V2 is equal 1 voltage, just any number, just to try to find, and let's say I2 is equal 1 amp. If they are given, you can find value. If you are not given values, just go ahead and this is the equation, this is the answer. But just as curiosity, V1 is equal 4 minus V2, which is equal 1, plus I2, which is equal 1 divided by 2, will be 4 divided by 2 will be 2 amp. So that's the answer for question number 3. Let's go ahead and move number 4. Number 4, when you find switches like that, it means that you are using superposition. The question said that when S was closed, it means you short circuit this supply. The voltage was equal to -6. So you can say, as we understood from superposition, call it V dash is equal -6. And don't forget the polarity of V is given in this problem, positive in the top, negative on the bottom. Now let's assume that the switch is open. Once the switch is open and you want to find the voltage due to VS1, what should you do in superposition? You should short circuit this one to find the voltage across R2 due to VS1 only. Because in superposition, you got to kill all sources except one source. So in the beginning, this one was killed and the voltage was found to be -6 voltage. And now the switch is open. So this voltage source will be applied while the other one will be killed. So when you do that, what you have? You have VS1, which is like, a voltage source, and you got resistance R1, and you got resistance R2, and R1 is given 2 ohm, and R2 is giving 3 ohm, and VS1 is given 15 volt. Very simple. So the current will go in this direction. So the current will be equal to 15 divided by 5 ohm, because 2 ohm plus 3 ohm is equal 5 ohm. So 15 divided by 5 is equal 3 amp. And the voltage will go in this direction. So that's the voltage drop. Call it V double dash. V double dash will be equal to the current times 3, which 3 times 3 equal to 9 volt. The total voltage across R2 will be equal V dash plus V double dash. V dash was given -6 volt, and V double dash is equal 9, so the answer will be 3 voltage. That was application to the last question. Question number 5. It's giving current source 2 amp in parallel with 2 ohm, 20 volt voltage source and 8 voltage. The question is to find the current I. This is the current I in amp. Do not write the units in. Okay, how to find the current I? Well, this question will be easier if it's solved by source transformation. You have a current source in parallel with the resistance. So to find the equivalent voltage source, you multiply the current times the resistance, will be 2 times 2 will be equal to 4 voltage. And that will be the polarity because the direction of the current from left to right. So that will be the positive here. And the value is equal 4 voltage. And the resistance 2 ohm will be in series. And then you connect the rest of the circuit. You have voltage source 20 voltage. And you got 8 voltage. And you want the current in this direction. Okay, let's first find the equivalent voltage source. You got 20 positive in this direction, and you got 4 in this direction. We will be subtracting, right? And you got 8. But if you are confused about it, just what you're supposed to do, the current in I going this direction, because it's only one loop, make positive and negative. Apply Kirchhoff voltage law. Now, you have 8 is positive. Then you move positive connected to the negative, you will be adding. Positive connected to the negative will be adding 2 times I, that's the voltage across 2 ohm resistor. Positive with positive will be -20 equals 0. So you have 12 minus 20 plus 2I is equal to 0. Minus 8 plus 2I is equal to 0. So 2I is equal to 8, I is equal to 4 amp. And that's it, and the exam is done. Thank you. If you have any question, please send me an email and we can explain it in more detail.